Summer's secret may be the one thing that turns a murder investigation upside down. On Monday night in Weatherfield, the search for Theo's killer takes a much darker turn, and this time the danger does not come from some obvious villain hiding in the shadows. It comes from something deeply personal, something written down, something private, something that was never meant to be found. And once George sees what is inside Summer's bag, everything changes. The episode begins with Kit trying to reassure Todd that the police are getting closer to the truth. For Todd, those words should bring comfort. After everything that has happened, after the shock of Theo's death and the fear hanging over the street, hearing that the investigation is moving forward should feel like progress. But not everyone reacts with relief. As Kit talks about closing in on Theo's killer, Summer shifts uncomfortably. It is not a loud reaction, it is not a confession, it is not enough for anyone to point and say she is hiding something. But it is enough to make the moment feel uneasy. Summer's discomfort sits quietly in the room, almost like a warning sign no one fully understands yet. And that is what makes it so tense, because in Corrie, it is often the smallest movement, the smallest look, the smallest change in someone's face that tells us something is wrong before the truth finally comes out. Summer has been carrying something heavy, and whether it is guilt, fear, trauma, confusion, or something else entirely, Monday's episode makes it clear that she is not at peace. Then comes the moment that could blow everything open. George is tidying up when he accidentally knocks over Summer's bag. It is an ordinary accident, the sort of thing that could happen in any house, on any normal day. But this is not a normal day, not with Theo dead, not with the police digging, not with Kit already convinced they are getting closer. And when George sees what falls out, his whole world must stop. A page from Summer's journal is exposed, and what is written there is horrifying. The page describes putting a gun to Theo's head. That one detail is enough to shake George to the core. This is not a casual note. This is not something anyone can simply brush away. It is private, yes. It belongs to Summer, yes. But in the middle of a murder investigation, words like that are impossible to ignore. And that is where the emotional conflict becomes painfully complicated, because a journal can hold feelings people never intend to act on. It can hold anger, fear, nightmares, memories, or thoughts written in a moment of distress. But when the person named in that journal is dead, and the writing describes a gun being put to his head, it becomes something far more dangerous. George is left horrified, not only by what the page says, but by what it could mean. And Christina is pulled into that same nightmare. As she and George read through Summer's journal, the atmosphere becomes unbearable. They are not detectives. They are not hardened investigators. They are family, friends, people tied up in Summer's life and her pain. Yet now they are staring at words that could connect her to Theo in the worst possible way. There is a real moral tension here. Do they have a right to read her private journal? No one would call that simple. But after what they have found, can they ignore it? That is even harder, because once you see something like that, you cannot unsee it. George and Christina are no longer just worried about Summer. They are scared of what she may know, what she may have done, or what the police might think she has done. And then, just as they are reading through the journal, Summer suddenly returns. That moment lands like a door slamming shut on a secret. Imagine walking back in and finding people looking through the one place where your most private thoughts are supposed to be safe. For Summer, that is not just embarrassing, it is a betrayal. But for George and Christina, her sudden return is terrifying because they have already crossed a line, and now they are face to face with the person at the center of it all. What does Summer say? Does she panic? Does she explain? Does she shut down completely? The spoiler does not give us those answers yet, and that uncertainty makes the scene even more powerful, because whatever happens next, Summer now knows they have seen something they were never meant to see. And in a murder case, that kind of discovery can destroy trust in seconds. But the pressure on Summer does not stop there. Kit later looks through Lisa's wedding photos and spots a crucial detail, a detail that could implicate Summer. That is where this storyline tightens its grip, because the journal page alone might be argued away as writing, emotion, or imagination. But a detail in a photo is different. A photo can place someone somewhere. It can reveal something missed in the moment. It can turn a suspicion into a direction. Kit has already told Todd they are closing in on Theo's killer. Now, with Lisa's wedding photos offering something important, Summer could find herself moving from uneasy background presence to a serious focus of the investigation. And the painful part is that we still do not know what the truth really is. This is where Corrie does emotional tension best. It does not simply ask, "Did she do it?" It asks something much harder. What happens when a young woman's private pain starts looking like evidence? What happens when the people around her do not know whether to protect her or fear what she might be hiding? Summer's discomfort earlier suddenly feels much heavier. George's discovery suddenly feels more dangerous. Kit's photo detail suddenly feels like the piece that could pull everything together. And for Todd, this could be devastating. He wants answers for Theo. He wants justice. But if those answers start pointing close to someone familiar, the emotional fallout will not be simple. It will cut through homes, friendships, and loyalties. While that dark cloud hangs over the street, another family drama unfolds with Maggie, Ben, and Eva. Maggie finds herself caught up in more lies, and that tells us she is already trapped in a situation that keeps getting messier. Lies rarely stay small in Weatherfield. They grow, they spread. They force people to choose between honesty and self-protection. And when Ben comes home to find Eva comforting his sobbing mother, the scene carries a very different kind of pain. This is not about police evidence or murder suspects. This is about family strain, about a mother breaking down, about a son walking in and seeing someone he loves in tears. Eva is trying to comfort Maggie, but Ben's reaction matters. Can he accept Eva's plea to go easy on his mother? Can he look past the lies long enough to see the woman behind them? Or has Maggie already pushed things too far? The spoiler leaves that question hanging, and it works because Ben is clearly under pressure too. After everything that has been building around him, being asked to show patience might not be easy. But seeing Maggie sobbing could also soften something in him. It is a quieter storyline than the Theo investigation, but it still carries weight. Because sometimes the damage inside a family is not caused by one huge explosion. Sometimes it comes from lies, small choices, and people trying to protect themselves until the truth becomes too painful to face. Elsewhere, Daniel is still struggling. He confides in Jody that he does not feel ready to face the world just yet. That line says a lot. Daniel is not simply being difficult or withdrawn, he is in a place where everyday life feels too heavy. Facing people, facing expectations, facing the noise of the street, it all feels like too much. But Jody decides to push him. She tells Daniel that she ran into Cassie and makes out that Bertie is really missing him, saying he needs to pull himself together. On the surface, maybe she thinks she is helping. Maybe she thinks Daniel needs a push, not sympathy. But the problem is, she lies to do it. Daniel goes to number 1 to collect Bertie, expecting to find a child missing him and needing him. Instead, he discovers Bertie has been having the time of his life. That discovery hurts because it exposes the lie immediately. Daniel returns home and rounds on Jody. And honestly, it is not hard to understand why. When someone already feels fragile, manipulating them with guilt can feel cruel, even if the intention is good. Jody explains she did it for his own good. And that is where the scene becomes more complicated. Was she wrong? Yes, she lied, but was she acting out of concern? It seems that way. Daniel has been hiding away, and Jodie may genuinely believe he needs to re-enter life before his grief or fear swallows him completely. The question is whether Daniel can see the care behind the lie, or whether the betrayal will sting too much. And then there is Sam. As Sam walks down the street, Roy walks with him. Normally, Roy is a calming presence. He is thoughtful, gentle, and often the person who helps others make sense of the world when everything feels too loud. But this time, what Roy says leaves Sam struggling. Roy tells him he should trust no one. For Sam, that is a frightening thing to hear. He has already been dealing with confusion and fear, especially after the discovery of that tracking device in his school bag. Now, instead of simple reassurance, he is being told that trust itself may be dangerous. That line changes the feeling around Sam's story. It suggests paranoia, fear, and uncertainty are closing in around him. And for someone young, trying to understand who is safe and who is not, being told to trust no one is not easy guidance. It is terrifying. By the end of part 1, Weatherfield feels like a street full of people carrying secrets they can barely hold. Summer's private journal has been exposed. George and Christina know something they cannot simply forget. Kit has found something in Lisa's wedding photos that could pull Summer deeper into the investigation. Maggie's lies are leaving Ben torn between anger and compassion. Daniel is being pushed back into life in a way that may either help him or break his trust. And Sam is left walking beside Roy, trying to understand why the safest advice now sounds like the loneliest warning of all. But the biggest question still sits with Summer. If her journal describes putting a gun to Theo's head, and Kit has found a photo detail that may implicate her, is Summer hiding the truth? Or is Weatherfield about to mistake pain for guilt?